the email. So we are very excited to launch this tomorrow. So you can go to the website now and then take a look around. But it's tomorrow when you guys going to be able to like sign up, start signing up. So okay, so thank you for listening, and so let's start making some udon noodles. Okay. 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 Right. Okay. So let's start talking about the ingredients. Okay. So the flour, right? Of course, like we talk about like flour. So that's a protein content like between like 7 and 9%, and this particular one is like 8.6%, and it's got like viscosity value of like over like 900 BU. So that's very important. And so again, like if you have like in some flour that you want to test for viscosity value, then you can send a sample, and then we can test it for you like just free of charge. And again, like this is the amount of salt we are adding to the flour. Well, but we first have like melting the water, right? We're gonna make salt water, and this is the vinegar. So vinegar is just about like 1% to the weight of flour, and yeah, so we add vinegar to the flour. I mean, yeah, dough too. So let's start making future udon. So this this machine is called Shinuchi machine, and it's a all-in-one machine that that makes well fresh udon noodles from scratch, and it's got everything like mixer, the press machine, and well sheeting machine, rollers, cutter, and everything. And so first, what we do first is that like so she has to dissolve this all the salt, right? So it's a lot of salt, and you have to sort of like spend some time like actually just getting all the salt to be melted thoroughly. And so there's a lot of salt, so like you have to like kind of do that kind of repeatedly to make sure that it's all melted totally. And then you can add like the vinegar. So first, like we add the water, like salt water, just probably like 2/3 of it first, and then to mix it for 4 minutes. Mix it for 4 minutes, right? And then yeah, then like after that, like we take we sort of open the mixer and then like clean it, and then add the rest of the water, and then mix it for another minute, like so that total amount like time like we mix is just 5 minutes. And yeah, it's and then but like we just we hate, right, we hate to we hate to like waste your time so much, right? Like Megumi hates it, so like he made dough in advance, right? She made a dough in advance, and so that's a dough she made about 2 hours ago, and she put it in a resting cabinet for yeah, like first resting. And so first resting is like 28 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. So she made it like 2 hours ago, and look at the dough, like kind of, yeah, it's a lot of like kind of wetty. And so what we're going to do right now is that like, so we are going to do the press, right? So applying the press onto the dough, and yeah, so we're gonna do like press. No, so this is a press machine that sort of like mimics the yeah, well, kind of old way of like kind of like working the dough. So like all these noodle making artisans in Japan, like who are making like well udon noodles by hand. They used to like kind of work the dough like by actually stepping on the dough, and yeah, seriously, and well, they are actually udon making professionals currently that actually do it that way um, today, right? But like, yeah, of course, like they have like all the cover and everything, like to not to like drip directly step on the dough, right? The barefoot, but it's a lot of work actually. It's a lot of work. It's like just stepping on them, right? Just stepping on, like we have to like keep stepping on them like for I don't know, like 30 minutes or like for some like dough like for an hour. So that's a long time. Like, and then yeah, believe me, like you've been sweating like for like after like 30 minutes an hour, just by stepping on the dough. So yeah, so this piece of like equipment like actually solves that, well, the like an intensive labor, and then just just a time consuming process, right? So look at that dough, right? It's so it's got like, so it's pressed like for the second time and going for the third, and it's getting smoother and smoother, okay, smoother and smoother, right? And it's getting actually pretty bouncier, right? Bouncier and bouncier, and so that's how that dough gets worked out, and it's almost like, yeah, working on your muscle. And but if you do that like, well, every single day, like, and continuously, right? Then you get the muscle aches, and but like you still keep doing it, and then like, well, that may be not good for your muscle, right? Yeah, so because I think you have to rest your muscle like at least like 48 hours day, 8 hours something like before you start working them out again, because your muscle tissues like you have to like rest before they can start getting like worked out, right? So the same thing with udon dough. So that's why we have to rest it. So that's why we have the resting process, the like two-stage resting process. Like the first one, after mixing, right? That's like 28 degrees Celsius, for 2 hours. And the second resting process, that's yeah, 18 degrees Celsius overnight. Yeah, overnight. So yeah, so so we had to wait for overnight means, yeah, it's like 16 hours to like 24 hours, uh, and then set at like 18 degrees Celsius. Yeah, so we have to wait for that long to have a good udon dough. Yeah, so that's a long time, but that's worth it. That's worth the time. I mean the wait. And yeah, look at the beautiful dough. It's very smooth. It's very smooth and sleek, and yeah, and then now she's dividing it into kind of like chunks, right? Like pieces that are actually small enough for her to, you know, well, so next day, right? Like next day, like tomorrow, like she's gonna come and then like, well, I don't think she would, but like, so like next day, like she comes, right? And then, so she starts sheeting, right? Sheeting the dough, and and then because that. the work table on this machine is like kind of pretty limited, like space is limited. So if you try to sheet it like all at once, right? Then the amount of space you have like in the work table like is not enough. So that's why like she wants to just split it into like small pieces, small enough for her to be able like kind of work the sheet, the dough comfortably. Yeah, and then more efficiently, right? So she's putting them back in the plastic bag, and then yeah, and then she's gonna put it back in the resting cabinet again. That's set at 18 degrees Celsius. It's kind of cool temperature, and yeah, but like that's gonna these dough gonna start to stay um, overnight, and to make sure that it's all so like yeah seal up like so that um, these dough are not gonna get like air out from outside, and they're not gonna get dried up. All right, so yeah, so setting the temperature to 18 degrees Celsius, and yeah, putting this dough back in the resting cabinet, and again, like we just hate, right? We just hate like waste your time, right? So yeah, so she made that dough yesterday. Yeah, so she hates to waste you guys' time, so you know she made it yesterday. Thank God. And so she's gonna start like sheeting the dough and rolling the dough, thinning the dough, and so make sure that you have like enough like dusting powder on the dough before you start sheeting. Like otherwise, like it's gonna stick onto the roller and everywhere. So let's make sure that you dust it well. Yeah, and so let's start thinning it. So yeah, so this machine has this roller unit that you can control the like roller gap with this kind of shift gear, kind of that like that one that lever that kind of resembles like kind of shift gear in the car, but kind of starting from one, which is like widest roller gap, and so kind of like going up one by one, like some kind of narrowing the roller gap like little by little um, at each round of thinning. And so, yeah, you notice that the dough is like getting thinner at each round of thinning, right? And so that's how you, yeah, thin the udon dough. And another thing that this machine has is that like, so this machine has like this like small display that actually shows the thickness of dough of thickness dough like sheet that's being thin, right? Uh, digitally, so it's yeah, it's like it's visible, like like how thick the dough is right now, like being rolled, right? So it says like 4.2 millimeter, and um, and it's like so like, but it's the entire area like of the dough is like not the same thickness. So the edges of the like edge of the dough like thinner than the like sort of like center, um, and so but you have to so well take the measurement like in the center to kind of get that right thickness. So she doubled that and then doubled the like dough sheet and then so like measure the thickness. So like that was like 6.1. So each sheet was yeah, like about like 3.05 millimeter in thickness. So just want to thin it a little bit further. 5.0. So that like this sheet is supposed to be 2.5 millimeter in thickness. Okay, so we're going to cutting mode, and this machine uses this kind of cutter blade like that goes up and down to like cut it like it's like kind of hand like cutting the noodles by hand, cutting the noodle like noodle sheet to noodle strands by hand, and so how this machine the controls the width of the noodles is that like the speed of a conveyor belt. So kind of controls the speed of which this dough sheet is like going into the cutter. So that's how you kind of control the like width of the noodles. So noodles are being the dough sheet is being cut into noodle strands and then being dropped into the tray that's moving underneath. So kind of like collecting the noodle strands. So it's a nice feature. It's like, cause if you pull it out, like just the noodles are kind of like lined up nicely. So the noodle size, right? The noodle size is like kind of very different from kind of like conventional kind of noodle size, and these are kind of flat noodles, and then I have to tell that like noodle size, right? Like dimension of the noodles, like thickness, width. I mean they by changing just maybe like just 0.1 millimeter, like 0.2 millimeter, change the like noodle texture like drastically. So the making like kind of flat noodles like these, yeah, make interesting, make like interesting noodle texture for sure, and make sure that like she dusted like a lot of flour, right? These prevent like the noodles from sticking, so you have to have a lot of dusting powder. All right, so that's Megami's version of future udon. And so let's go to the kitchen, and yeah, our instructor is gonna have some examples like future udon, like conversion, and okay, so next generation udon. So Miss Sano, our instructor for this class, I made her version of future udon and like two types, two examples. So thank you, Miss Sano. Thank you very much. よろしくお願いします。で今回こちら次世代うどんということで2品作ります。So next generation udon, like so she's gonna make like two types of like two examples, and that's like a drawing like from by her, and then yeah, wow, thank you. で1つ目がエビとトマトのクリームうどんです。Yeah, the first one is like shrimp, like tomato cream udon. That's interesting. で2つ目が味噌に分かれた味噌うどんになります。Oh, wow. So like the next one like is a double layered curry udon. That itself sounds like really interesting. Okay. はい。細かい説明は後ほど行います。まず麺茹でます。Okay, so she's gonna explain like the details later. So like, but she wants to start like by cooking udon first, udon noodles first, because yeah, they takes time. Okay, so let's start cooking udon noodles. Okay, so these are the like kind of flat noodles, flat udon noodles. So like I think it's going to be around like 8 minutes of cooking time. Okay, so this is another type like that, like she made like yesterday, like that's a little thinner. Um, okay, so it's going to cook like two of these types. Okay, so first let's start with the flat noodles that we just made. Yeah, so like we're gonna cook noodles, right? Udon noodles, like, but like make sure that the cooker is boiling, pretty well, like rolling, boiling. Make sure, and and so she, yeah, just notice like she's kind of stirring it, and then looks like she's held like kind of kind of stirring in a way that like kind of drawing the number eight, or sideways. And so that's how you so like kind of well start them to yeah kind of like help like noodles like surface to like the yeah when it submerge to the like surface as quickly as possible. Yeah, so like drawing like kind of omega sign like that kind of helps like noodles from like kind of getting entangled, right? And yeah, and so once you like put like drop like noodles in the hot water and then like the temperature drops, right? And so after that like noodles like submerge and then like the water like start like boiling again, and then yeah we should reduce heat to kind of reduce like kind of well deliver like boiling. And okay, so I'm boiling like two types of udon noodles today, so I want to separate them by the net. Yeah, she just called like the first one in. So this thinner thinner udon noodles, I'm gonna cook them for 6 minutes. So you have two timers, yeah, like for first one and like for the second one. Okay, so same as the one before. Yeah, when it's boiling again, yeah, we just heat and yeah, bread that noodles kind of well, being being cooked. Okay, so I'm just separating them by catching them in the net. So once they boil, like we have to wash them in this double sink. So in the first sink, I need to like wash them like pretty well, and then in the second sink, I gonna chill them. Yeah, so I hate to waste you guys' time, so I made them. I made like fresh, like already boiled noodles. So so that's a thinner udon, thinner noodles. So that's a flat noodles that we cooked for 8 minutes. Okay, so for shrimp tomato cream udon, like I'm just gonna use like this 6 minute cooking time udon noodles. Okay. So I made that sauce in a pan. So that's like prawn and like onions and like tomatoes. Okay, so I'm gonna put that like cooked noodles in there, and then like then I'm gonna plate it. Okay, so I'm just gonna warm it up. Okay, so I'm gonna use like 200 grams of cooked noodles this time. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, that was so the noodles are actually like the flat one that we cooked for like 8 minutes. This one, not the thinner one. Okay, so make sure that like all the noodles are like being coated with the sauce. Okay, so once they're warmed up, like you're just gonna plate it. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna like sprinkle like some like Parmesan cheese. That's a parsley. Okay, so that's done. Shrimp tomato cream udon. Okay, so let's go back to the noodle cooker, see how the noodles are coming. Alright, so, right. Okay, so that's the flat noodles for in cooking time. Okay, so another one that's the thinner noodle. Like, so I'm just gonna put it aside while I work on the flat noodles. Yeah, so we need to like wash the noodles, pretty well. Just make sure that like, we get rid of like all these starch off the noodles. So once the starch is gone, like put them like in another sink where we like kind of chill the noodles. And so yeah, so we So I just like kind of straighten them up, and yeah, and then like just put in the basket and for like serving, right? And usually like that's where yeah, we portion the noodles. Yeah, so like tuna noodles, like like same thing, like we have to wash them uh, pretty well to like remove like all the starch off the noodles, and then chill the noodles the next thing, and again like kind of straighten the noodles up and placing them into the basket. All right. All right, so let's do the curry udon. Okay, so that's a double weight curry udon, and then like in the bottom, like we have the like kind of green curry, and then on top, like we have like kind of like white creamy curry kind of form curry. So there's a green curry that I made, and that's pretty green. Okay, so let me just warm it up. Yeah, so where does color come from, right? So that's the like spinach that's well, like they put in a blender, and that's a like in the paste form. Okay, so while warming the curry soup, right? Let me warm the noodles as well. Yeah, so this is so these are like tuna noodles, and then it's again like also 200 grams. Okay, so warming it up, and notice that like so she was like warming up the noodles like at the same time warming the bowl. So she's gonna plate these noodles, right? Okay, so let's pour that curry soup. Okay. All right, so on top of it, going to put that like white form. So the main ingredients in there like is potato, like white cream, and what's that? Right, so like milk and like the fresh cream, and then potato. Yeah, so like inside this device, right? Like all these ingredients in there, and then like you add like the soda, right, in it, like so that's gonna come out like as a kind of form. So let's see how it comes out. Okay. Okay. Right. That's just about enough. Okay, so on top of like I'm gonna plate some. So that's the just chopped up like parsley. It's kind of sprinkle like these pieces of parsley. Kind of trying to like draw a circle with this piece of parsley, Okay, so that's a like image of like in a Christmas the like leaves yeah, so there's kind of round shape. Like that's a pink pepper. Yeah, it's kind of rare, like interesting, like kind of pink pepper. Yeah, and it just yeah, kind of placing them like in the kind of alongside of like the circle. So that's a roughly ground black pepper. So if you just like directly sprinkle on them, like yeah, it's going to kind of ruin that whole picture. So I'm just gonna yeah pick them and then yeah just place them one by one. All right, so that's the double layered curry udon. That's yeah, that's very Christmas. Yeah, it's nice, nice looking. That's our version of like future, like next generation of like udon dishes, and like of course, like you can definitely try like all the, yeah, you can take like all the ideas like we've talked about in the lecture as well, and yeah, it's like oh future, future is like something like you can create yourself, so that's something you can control actually. Yeah, so you can start creating your own like future udon, and then like who knows, right? Like it's gonna be like a really great and like hip product, and then like who knows, like you may be like one of the inventors of like kind of like future udon, like everyone's is eating in the near future. So why don't you like start like creating your own like udon dishes, right? So thank you. Bye bye.